The $27.6 million to build both precincts is coming from Proposition P, a public safety sales tax approved by the voters in 2017. The projects have long been needed. The old Precinct 3, known as the Afton Southwest Precinct, was located on Gravois Road, but it was in such bad shape with water leaks and mold that the county could no longer safely use the building. The precinct was relocated to a leased space at 5030 Griffin Road, but the facility is too small, making it impossible to safely process and hold suspects. The new facility will be more than 15,000 square feet, 3 times the size of the existing precinct. Wright Construction Services will serve as the general contractor, with site preparation beginning as early as Friday and construction to begin on October 3rd. Precinct 1 in North County will follow suit a few weeks later, with Ranieri Construction beginning site preparation as early as October 17th and construction to begin around November 7th. Precinct 3 is expected to take about 15 months to complete, opening in 2024. It is expected to take a few months longer to build the other precinct because some demolition will have to happen first on what is the former Sappington Gardens site. At about 17,300 square feet, Precinct 1 will be more than double the size of the current location, which is about 8,000 square feet. It should take about a year to build and open at the end of 2023 if supply chain issues and inclement weather do not interrupt these goals. Precinct 1, known as the North County Precinct, is currently located at 11815 Benham Road in a building we lease. And the new precinct will be built on a vacant parcel of land at 1130 Dunn Road near Christian Hospital. We're encouraged that both projects exceeded the goals we set for minority and women-owned business participation, something we've been working hard on since I took office. For Precinct 3, the MWBE participation will be 50.3%, with 14 minority and women-owned firms working on the project. For Precinct 1, the participation will be just under 50% at 49.7%, and that project will include 15 minority and women-owned firms. The goal for both projects was 41%. We look forward to enhancing these projects and providing appropriate space for our officers to work safely and to continue providing the level of service our residents have come to expect in St. Louis County. As construction begins, we will provide regular updates to the public, and I want to thank the Department of Public Works and Transportation for your work on these two important projects, and to the Department of Administration for your hard work on the MWBE program. Thanks, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Executive Page, what do you think the difference will be with these projects? What makes them important at this point in time for County PD?
Well, the police department identified many years ago the need for a new police precinct in North County and South County. The space was cramped. The South County precinct was uninhabitable, and before we could build a new precinct, they actually had to move to a leased space. So in addition to making sure our police officers are well paid and well staffed, well trained, and are available when they're called, we need to make sure they have the equipment they need to be successful. And part of that equipment is a police precinct where they can process suspects and to work together to solve the crimes that we deal with in our community.
What does this mean for your response times? Are these in more of a prime location that's closer to where we see the bulk of calls come from?
No, I think the location will be about the same. The resources will be better. Our response times in St. Louis County are always very good. That's really a reflection of our call center and how hard our 911 operators are working in St. Louis County, and the way that our police are assigned and dispersed around the county, so they're close to any place they might be needed.
This is more of a modernization effort than anything else, it sounds like. It's better, and the county will own these buildings. It sounds like there's just some logistical issues there.
Yeah,
better off.
the county will own the buildings, and it's important for the county to own the buildings when that's possible, especially buildings like police stations. But we know that we needed new equipment. We know that we needed new facilities. These upgrades have been a long time coming, and they're a result of Proposition P sales tax that was passed by the voters 5 years ago.
Are there any other precincts on your radar that are in need of updates or moving?
Yeah, we're working with the police department to identify other precincts. You know, it's a big investment. You know, this is, you know, $27 million. It's a lot of money. And the sales tax only provides so much resources over time. And we also have other operational needs of the department. So we'll look at our other precincts, and we'll follow the guidance and direction of the strategic planning in the police department. But right now, we're excited to be able to put 2 new police stations online, one in North County and one in South County, in the next year and a half.
Is that 27 million combined?
Yes,
Okay.
27 million for both precincts.
Was this a situation where you had to wait for the money to accrue before you could pay for it? Or?
Yeah, this is, the question is, did we have to wait for the money to accrue? No, this is a situation where acquisition of the land was the biggest delay, and then making sure that we complied with minority participation guidelines in the county. We wanted to make sure that we were following the laws that were passed a couple of years ago that address the folks that are participating in the construction and the work on these 2 county-owned projects. The biggest delay over the past couple of years really was land acquisition and planning, and that takes a couple of years.
How big in your mind, County Executive, was the need for these stations? Clearly, it's probably overdue.
Oh yeah, we identified a need for police stations that, for these 2 police stations even before 2017. We just didn't have the resources for them. And we made a commitment to the voters that if they passed the sales tax in 2017, first, we would provide raises to our police officers who were underpaid relative to other police officers in the community. And in the past 5 years, that's happened. And we also made a commitment that we would build 2 new police stations, one in North County, one in South County. It just takes a long time to go through that process and bring them online.
Do you know how many people will be working in these locations, how many suspects they can hold, et cetera?
The question is about the capacity of the police stations and their work product, and I would have to refer you to the police department for that. I don't have those details.
On a separate issue, if you don't mind, County Executive, the President said just recently that he believed the pandemic was over.
Yeah.
Do you agree, and what's your message to citizens when they hear that?
Well, I think we're past the worst part of the pandemic. We're past discussions about you know, any sort of mandatory restrictions or the other things that have caused historic controversy in our region, in our country, and around the world. But we know that the virus is still in our community. We know that that it's still filling up our hospitals. But we are happy to see that devastation is a fraction of what it was in the past. We're happy to see that our hospitals are able to handle the volume of cases and that they're not being overwhelmed. We're in a much better spot, but the virus is still with us. It will eventually move from pandemic to endemic to being like another illness that moves through our community, like the flu or something else. But I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're in a much, much better spot than we were a year ago.
So the worst is over in your mind, but to say the pandemic is over is probably a little premature.
Well, I think there'll be differences in the definition of pandemic among public health officials, epidemiologists, and government officials. I think it's safe to say that we're in a much better spot than we were a year ago, that our country has weathered the storm, our community has weathered the storm, our economy is recovering. Vaccinations are going well in St. Louis County. We still have some hesitancy, but we're just in a much, much better spot, and we're able to talk about other historic, complex problems that face our community. We're able to refocus and redouble our efforts around crime and public safety. We're talking about substance abuse and mental health and the other epidemic that we're dealing with opioid addiction and overdoses. So we're able to focus our government resources on some of our other complex problems. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.